Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as was the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. So you guys probably remember this clip that surfaced a while back. This is around like the summer of 2023, and it was X Shorts, and it was with David Schwartz, right? And the overall agenda was the possibility of two world reserve currencies at the same time. The success scenario is a currency no one controls if the choice is no boss, and that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich. I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus. Now listen, for the longest time around this space, the overall idea of getting rich and wealthy with XRP has been kind of viewed as this, why would they let you get rich off of it? That was the overall agenda. Now let me ask you this. How many people will actually get rich off of XRP? Because I see this argument come up quite a bit now, where a lot of the commenters are assuming that there's, hundreds of millions of people holding XRP. Guys, we're not even at 5 million total wallets for XRP. How many people are holding 2, 3, 4, 5 different wallets for XRP? How many of those wallets have one XRP in them? How many wallets have just the basic functions tied to them? For an example, Some Wallet, which it recently did do a name change, but regardless, a lot of those wallets that are in the almost 5 million bracket, I would say like 50% of them are just worthless. This is why I say, it's not about having millions and millions and millions of people getting rich. It's still a very, very small percentage. But regardless, right? The number one thing that I've been talking about when it comes to XRP is that significant use case value tied to it. The decentralization of a currency that no one controls that could bridge any currencies. When we look at XRP in that way, and when we look at the reserve currency status, the argument that I've always made is, why do we need a reserve currency? When you have instant settlement realized in, and you have no need for a reserve currency, why should we have one? And that's where we kind of look at CBDCs and what's at the center point of CBDCs. But listen closely to this video again, because in this entire video, we're going to go over some new news that recently resurfaced a little bit. And it's very significant because it's coming from very substantial names.
Do you believe that there can be two existing world reserve currencies to simultaneously exist?
I do, and I think that could happen. I think it's quite realistic that a lot of the world is just done with the dollar as their reserve currency. I think that there's a lot of places that are willing to try something else. And one of my scenarios, and I don't think it's going to play out quickly, but one of my wild case success scenarios for a digital asset is if countries start to realize that the US dollar is not going to be the reserve currency forever. Other things are going to be the reserve currency. And the same thing that we saw with banks. People, when we started selling software to banks, people would say to me, why would a bank use something that you guys were selling them when they could use something that was made by banks? And what they didn't realize is that, only 10 banks in the country, on the planet, are Deutsche Bank, HSBC, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan Chase, the ones who would build a system that the entire planet would run on. For the rest of the banks, that's 6,000 smaller banks, those are their biggest, strongest competitors. Those are the entities they hate the most. They would not want to use the system built and maintained by them because it's going to be biased in favor of them, their biggest and strongest competitors. And I think the same thing could happen to nations. Like every nation would love for their currency to be the world reserve currency. That's helped the US, that's grown the US economy, quote unquote, unfairly by leaps and bounds for decades. And every other country would be like, yeah, we'd like to have the world be the world's reserve currency. But the only countries that could possibly pull it off is the US holding its position, maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or two others. But realistically, most countries know that if there's going to be a new world reserve currency that's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might actually prefer a currency that nobody can control to one that's controlled by their largest geopolitical rivals. And so that's like what I think is the biggest possible success scenario for digital assets. If these countries are like, okay, well, the US dollar can't hold on forever, but it's not going to be our currency because no one's going to want to repeat the US dollar scenario. Nobody but the EU wants the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody but Russia wants the ruble to replace the dollar. Nobody but China wants the yuan to replace the dollar. So maybe they could settle on a currency that nobody could control rather than one controlled by their most powerful geopolitical rival. So if you want a success scenario, that's the one that I think is the most likely.
But the money question is, how do you get everybody to agree?
Well, I mean, they might agree if the alternative is that their geopolitical rivals force some new replacement for the dollar that's not, if they just replace, the old boss with a new boss. If the choice is no boss, if that happens to make a bunch of cryptocurrency people rich, I don't think they're going to see that as too much of a minus.
That's good.
Yeah. It was great talking to you guys.
Now, do you guys see what's happening with BRICS? They're pushing for this currency that all the BRICS nations would use. So as we really look at that, like, it's the same exact thing. Just repeat it. Except where the US is not holding a reserve currency. So what is that fixing? It's not fixing anything. But the reason why I bring this back up, right, is because a lot of people were addressing this back around like the September timeframe. In fact, Crypto Ari actually put out a post, and she was actually quoting this post made by Mr. Fresh Time. And we have XRP as a reserve currency. Ripple narrative hasn't been spoken about for years. Per David Schwartz, in a recent live space, Ripple is talking to banks and large financial institutions to bring stablecoins to the decentralized exchange in major currencies. Court docs also show Prisma was the North Star for Ripple to achieve unsubsidized natural liquidity. In that same live space, David went on to say Prisma can use decentralized exchange liquidity, aggregating more intelligent liquidity, and there is a major effort to integrate the DEX use into on-demand liquidity. This is why it's very important to stay current. A 2017 Ripple Insight blog is not current. If you're wanting to know more on the subject, watch Mr. Fresh Time most current video. And here we can actually see the North Star or Prisma being mentioned here. Also, AMMs, right? The automated market maker will be a big game changer around liquidity offerings, which ultimately allows Ripple to target a vast majority amount of payment flows around the world, including, having on-demand liquidity expand rapidly. But regardless, it was this post back in September that also got the attention of a lot of people. But this is what Crypto Ari is actually talking about, this 2017 Ripple Insight blog, where it says, we remain more committed than ever to the simple goal of making XRP the world's reserve digital currency. Now, again, is that going to be the case? I always look at XRP more so as a global bridge currency. And it's a very simple way of looking at it. I don't think that we need a reserve currency, but a global bridge currency where it's connecting all the CBDCs, I could see that becoming a reality, and I could see XRP being that key. Is that crazy to say? I don't think anyone would say it is. But again, we also need to come to the realization that, myself included, nobody knows what's going to happen. We are in unprecedented times around technology and the major changes ahead. Anything can be around the corner. But XRP Drops put out a great post recently, and this is on February 26th. And guys, this video was from 2 weeks ago. The first time ever that I have heard anyone claiming at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in Germany that XRP could be a world reserve bridge currency. That is exactly what I'm talking about, right? A world, it's more so a global bridge currency. The whole idea of a world reserve currency, which they are quoting saying, it also kind of allures to that idea. As soon as central banks will implement CBDCs. Check it out.
Zentrale Frage wird sein, ich bin ja ein Freund von First Mover. Der First Mover grast für sich einfach am meisten ab. Der vereinnahmt von Anfang an für sich am meisten. Und es wird die Frage sein, wie groß ist der Druck auf die Zentralbanken, CBDCs zu implementieren, der zeitliche Druck, so schnell wie möglich etwas zu tun gegen diesen drohenden Kollaps. Und da wird man natürlich auf das zurückgreifen, was da ist. Ripple ist da mit seinem Angebot und wenn die Zeit für Ripple spielt, dann kann Ripple durchaus die World Reserve Bridge Currency werden. Zentrale.
So you had to read the, captions there, but what they are actually addressing here, and let me just skip ahead for you guys to really kind of read it. So we have this idea of the impending collapse, right? Now, everyone believes that we're kind of avoiding this collapse. I don't think that we are. I think that I've always said 2024 is probably going to be a safe year. 2025 into 2026 is definitely going to be the major concerning point. Something will break, a collapse will happen. And from that, and just like they're even saying here, you're going to have to fall back on what is there. Ripple has been around for a very, very long time. They have built something very, very special. They have that CBDC platform. They are a well-recognized name. They have been sitting at the high tables with the central bankers, the organizations that pull the strings for many, many years. It would not surprise me if this is how Ripple and XRP become a pillar in the global monetary system. Now, when we address that, right, there was a recent post by Ripple that they put out and it said, learn how Ripple can provide the competitive advantage to accelerate your payments business across remittances, SME payments, and treasury flows. Now, this is their payments by numbers guide. Now, I already included this in prior videos where they address 3 use cases, 1 implementation, 5 powerful benefits. And the overall goal here was a quick guide to crypto forward payment solutions. Now, the only thing that I have really focused on when it comes to this was this slide here. How it works. Bridge 2 currencies in 3 seconds with 1 fixed FX rate. And you have XRP being the secret sauce around this. Everyone is under the impression that Ripple has kind of forgot about XRP. That XRP is not usable and XRP has failed. XRP has done this. The last time I checked, when I go and make a payment, when I go and make a wire transfer, whatever the case may be, we are still living in the antiquated traditional system of payments. Everyone is saying XRP has failed, but at the end of the day, we're not even seeing instant settlement being a thing yet. We're not even there. So how could XRP have failed if we're still living in that traditional antiquated world of payments? But beyond this, right, we have over here from XRP Drops. Ripple CBDC platform is said to have the required features for mass adoption as it leads the ecosystem to a massive transformation. We need a consistent framework for regulation or regulating CBDCs. And here we have Ripple's game-changing CBDC platform revolutionizing digital currency. Now, beyond this, we have Ripple's CBDC platform. Governments are far more likely to choose known and trusted names over unproven platforms from smaller teams. With that, it is important to note that Ripple has been one of the leading providers as its CBDC platform offers an all-in-one solution that provides governments with everything they need to deploy and maintain a reliable CBDC. When we talk about this, right, I'm not here to support CBDCs. I'm not here to say CBDCs are the best thing since sliced bread. But one thing that I will say is that we are witnessing over 90+% of the world moving towards CBDCs, focusing on CBDCs. Now, let me ask you this. When we look at trusted and well-known names in the CBDC sector and the blockchain-based solutions sector, what name comes to mind? What name comes to mind when I say, hey, guess what? We have a company here that has been holding banking conferences for years, and they are a blockchain-based company, and they met with the IMF, the BIS. They have been working with the BIS on the CPMI group. There's a lot of PDF documents around the IMF, the World Bank, etc., mentioning Ripple. Ripple's at all the high tables with all of the leading elite organizations. When we think about that, right, what comes to mind? Ripple, in my opinion, is a significant piece. And when we start to see the major transition from the old system to the new, that's when everyone will realize who Ripple is, why we should have been focusing on the XRP ledger and even on XRP. And that's when that small percentage, because remember, it's still a very, very small percentage of people that are holding XRP, the ones that have been through the ringer, we've avoided getting shaken out from all of the shakeout events. We continue to ignore the noise that, oh, this, that, blah, 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 all of the noise from the retail crowd getting frustrated. And we finally get to the other side. Guess what? That's when we become very wealthy and we can finally appreciate all of the noise, all of, the ups and downs that we have gone through. Because at that point, in my opinion, the value of these utility projects and the value of these companies that are pioneering blockchain-based solutions, utilizing some of these projects like the XRP Ledger and XRP, they are going to be the names that everyone knows. They are going to be blue chips. They are going to be the future Amazons of the world, in my opinion. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.